I finished season 1 of Rebels. Good. Like the climax of season 1 is pretty good. Like Kanan's interaction with the Grand Inquisitor is sort of very interesting in terms of his development, because you sort of get to see him going through the motions about what happened to him and his master, and how the Inquisitor was sort of may or may not have definitely been the one that killed her.
Depper was Order 66.
Jason Isaacs' portrayal is sort of so good, and it's a shame that he's not in it more, because like thinking back to the whole thing, like he's not in it much, but when he does turn up, he commands the room.
He does.
Like he takes the stage, he takes center stage, he commands the like awe and like watchfulness of everyone else in the room, and like some of the fight scenes he's in as well are excellent. My criticism of the thickness of the lightsaber blade still stands. I think they're too thin. Whatever. Yeah, like end of season 1, very good. Oh, hello. Or is that Kanan's master?
That's a death.
Okay. But yeah, interesting sort of stuff for Ezra again as well, in him when they sort of hijack the Imperial Walker, and they talk about how they need to get Kanan back at all costs, and then to go to Goatman, what's his name? Vizago? Is it Vizago?
Oh, yeah, Vizago, yeah.
How they go to Vizago to make a deal, and to like, I'll definitely owe you a favor. And like the length he's sort of willing to go to someone that they'd sort of almost burned that bridge with Vizago, and like to rescue his master that he's not really, that he's shown a bit of a development with in terms of their relationship, but to definitely sort of confirm that he does care for Kanan. Get some better stuff with Zeb as well. Zeb. But yeah. I did also watch the Sabine short, like you recommended, because they do in the final episode reference how
the artist is back.
You got a little better.
And that sort of gave you a bit more of a focus on Sabine as well, which is nice, because Sabine is one of the more interesting members of the crew, just sort of off a basis. And to see how, actually as well, interesting character stuff for Hera, how she struggles with her duty as a member of the rebellion in following Fulcrum's orders not to sort of jeopardize their secretness, and that conflicting with her feelings for Kanan as well. It's a bit like weighing up duty over your family or your love, that sort of thing. Yeah, like the final sort of fight between Kanan and the Inquisitor is very well done. It's good, like the sort of infiltration of the ship, and then Chopper goes off and does something. It's like, who's Chopper talking to? I wonder. Yeah, I like really good. So that season, to sort of mark on the Inquisitor's death, like the line where he talks about how
there are some things far more frightening than death,
and then how he sort of leaps to he sort of accepts his fate ultimately, and is like, I'm not dealing with the consequences of losing. By start of season 2 is the Siege of Lothal 2-parter. His lordship Vader shows up, and it's like, to see the design, like he looks really good in that art style.
He does.
And to hear James L. Jones, like, it's so, there's nothing like quite as sort of menacing or nothing quite like the authority and the presence that that voice gives off, and the sort of like can't think of anything better than the coolness factor of his voice. It's just like, and the way he interacts with, say, the Minister or Agent Callus, and Tarkin showing up as well. That's cool. Tarkin doing his bit. And yeah, like how Kanan and Ezra are sort of interacting with Vader, and they're nowhere near ready to sort of interact with him at all. The Inquisitor's here in terms of power level, and then Vader is like all the way through the roof. You find out who Fulcrum is, who Hera's been talking to, and of course it's Best Girl. By far, it's Ahsoka. And what was weird, like Lawrence will call me a heretic, but her voice acting when she first shows up in Rebels, it's a bit like sort of robot-y.
Are you picking on me?
Like she's just going, and this is this, and I am Ahsoka.
Now that's just unfriendly.
I was Fulcrum, and this is the rebellion, and
You need to get lost.
Vader comes in and he's sort of chasing him down in the Ghost, and they interact to try and find out who or what he is or what's going on, and Vader knows, so she lives, the apprentice, she lives.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she gets this sort of horrible feeling, and it sort of knocks her out for a bit. Like she's not
50th time. Seriously, keep a running tally of how many times she gets knocked out over the course of Clone Wars and Rebels and anything that she's in. It's ridiculous.
Siege of Lothal is pretty good because on its initial release it was aired as like a TV movie type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember watching it when it first came out. That was an event.
No, well, obviously on Disney Plus, when you watch it, it splits it up into two.
Yeah, so the question I have then, which version does Disney Plus have? The Sam Witwer Palpatine or the Ian McDiarmid Palpatine?
He sounds like because Vader obviously goes into the bridge room to talk to the Emperor about how Anakin Skywalker's apprentice is alive. It sounds like Ian McDiarmid. But yeah, overall, Siege of the Fall, very good, very much an event thing. And like, obviously, just a minute ago we joked about Ahsoka being knocked out, but like the sort of power she felt and how like it got to her that much, and later on how she talks about how he's a Sith Lord and that's why he's so much more.
A Sith Lord?
No, not one of those.
Sith Lord?
Yes, the one we've been looking for.
But no, yeah, very good. And then after that, I watched the episodes where Rex makes his reappearance, and that's sort of what I've watched up to of season 2 so far. But it's great to see Rex again, like Rex, and especially given that I've sort of just rewatched the ending, as I talked about the other week, how I rewatched the end of Clone Wars. Like, for me to see Rex again, it's sort of like, oh yes, because Rex. Go on, yeah.
Got fat though.
He did, yeah, and he got like a big bushy beard.
Should
yeah,
be a Christmas episode. The Rebels crew go to the North Pole and meet Santa Claus.
Yeah, and when he gets to the planet and it sort of says his serial number, I was like, oh yeah, that, because I sort of recognised that instantly. I was like, oh yeah, that's Rex's serial number, and yeah, and to see as well, the initial and sort of like the continued for the most part for that episode, the Kanan's initial sort of hatred, his anger, his reluctancy to work with a clone, like, because obviously his master got Order 66, so it's a very sort of traumatic thing for him because, as he says, like, these were people, the clones were soldiers that we fought against, that worked with us, that did all this good stuff with the Jedi, and then to see them, just from his perspective, especially as a Padawan, as a youngling, to sort of see them turn around and then gun down his master, and like for him to have to run from that, and sort of maybe he's not had the closure necessarily to deal with the death of his master, or even the closure to sort of witness comrades betraying him with the clones, and leads to a sort of very interesting dynamic where obviously he's reluctant to trust them, and then he sort of starts to cooperate with them a bit, and then you find out that Wolf had contacted the Imperials. What's interesting is, in contrast, is his relationship with the clones versus Ezra's. It sort of warms me up to him because this was a character at the start I found thoroughly annoying. When I first saw him, I was like, "God, why?" But no, to see development for him and some excellent character stuff for Kanan. It's good. Like Rebels so far is very good. I shall continue to watch it. Mark on like the art style and stuff. I've warmed up to it now. It's not as, I wouldn't say it was off-putting. It's just certain elements you like looks a bit weird, but I'm settled into it. I don't hate Zeb as much.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Sabine I like more. Hera I still like a fair bit. And obviously Ezra and Kanan are still doing really good character stuff. But yeah, Lawrence asked me to sort of get a little guest list of who I think voices Chopper.
Yes.
And what's lucky for me is that I can still participate in this guest game because it Disney Plus doesn't linger on the credits.
No.
So,
and they don't say it either. They only say who it is in the final episode. Otherwise, he's credited as himself.
Okay, so some of my ideas were like Mark Hamill or Dave Filoni, maybe Matt Lanter, maybe I even said George Lucas. Why not?
Wouldn't that be great?
There was a couple of other people I thought of, but my main sort of contenders for guessing are like Dave Filoni, George Lucas, and Mark Hamill. I could be totally wrong. Those are my three sort of top contenders at the minute, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm not getting much of a reaction from any of them there. Yeah.
Well, I've got to keep stum and keep face.
No, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see how Rebels goes for you.